1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, welcome to this edition of the lab. I believe this is going to be for lab 14.4.2.7. Write basic scripts in Windows and Linux. So let's just jump right into it. You're going to get a lab manual. It's about 9 pages long. This is what I had in the fall with the written answers, but this is what you get when you sign in. So you're going to log into your NetLab, and those are the two examples there. I believe they have a Windows version of it as well, but you're going to sign in, and let's just jump into it. So in the step B, they're going to ask you to use up a notepad like so, and you just copy and paste these commands, and these are some notes on some of the commands. So let me see here. Whoops. I believe this is a notepad using the bat info. So once here's the notepad window I use to type it up. And as you can see, I try to make it as identical as what they said here. We'll just, and to run it, you actually pull up a command prompt window. Now this particular file is saved under, let me see where it's saved under as. Saved under here. So if you want to quickly change where that file is saved at, what you can do is you just right click on here, copy like so, right click copy, and then cancel. And what you do is you change the command, change directory command, so cd space, then use the right click mouse on your and then place the where the script is. So we're looking for what's called the BAT file, but apparently I forgot to also type that we're in the fall schedule, so that way. Okay, so in these files, I have 3 scripts. The actual Word document that we're reading this off. There's the bash and the bat and the power script. So this is an example of the bat file, and then you just have it like so, and just run it. So the name of the file is info.bat, and the reason why I can't run it, it's because this is actually a Linux script. So a Linux terminal. So let me go back to you have to be careful which terminals you're using on your machine, because this particular one is the Linux, and you can tell it's Linux is because if you run the uname command, it literally says uname. It literally says Linux desktop right there. So just be careful which terminal you're using or running. But let's do this. Let's minimize this so you don't get confused, because I got confused. And then you run the command for the batch file. In this case, it's called info.bat. So type in info.bat, and it should pull up all those details that each batch file does. Now, what your batch file does, it basically runs all these commands individually line by line without you having to do each one in the terminal by hand. So let's say you want to just run the echo command with this echo name. You could just say echo computer name is, and then you put the parentheses there, which is number 5, computer name, and there it goes. And that's what it does. It just literally echoes what the variable computer name is. And then we can go through each one of these to give you the details. Let's run the command again. It's called info.bat, and it just pulls up all the information about the computer. especially the size of the disk space, whatnot, and all these other memory things. All right, let's move right along. The, the instructions will give you things to do on what to look for, and basically that's what we did here, pulling up the command prompt like so, and then you can run some of these commands to see what they do. Let's actually go through some of the answers. Hopefully it's on, the answers are listed on here. Let me just scroll all the way down. There you go. So we just look up on each one. You can name it the best as you can. Um, some of the questions ask what is the pound name used script for, and you can actually write it at. They are used to denote a variable and its value and will be placed in between the parentheses. So that's some of the answers. Again, this is the answers for the lab here. And like I said, you can research this on your own, or I can just read off an example for you. So we'll give you one example of the Wmic command, a command utility that can retrieve information about local and remote computers. So if you wanted to find out what the command does, let's go back to command prompt. So Wmic, and there you go. Let's see if there's a help menu here. I haven't used this in a while. There you go. So you use the question mark to retrieve information about Wmic, and to exit it, of course, you just use quit. Quit. Oh, wait a minute. I just have to get all the way to the bottom. There we go. So we got to know where we are. Okay. So to quit, you just type in quit in capital letters to exit that. So if you do type in help and then Wmic, that should pull up the name of the help commands. But as you see here, Wmic is deprecated, meaning this version of the command will not show up that many much times. So so that's these answers. Let's go through the lab again. The next step, of course, is step 2. You use a PowerShell command, and these are the instructions to run the PowerShell. I'm just going to show you the completed PowerShell. So let me just minimize batch file here, and I believe the PowerShell is this one. Now the thing with PowerShell, you can actually run PowerShell commands in the command prompt, and to do that, you just type in PowerShell, and that should put you in a PowerShell command. The other thing you could do is you can actually write PowerShell in the command prompt start window here, and it should pull up PowerShell. Now it's going to be a bluish screen that's different, of course, and that's how you enter the PowerShell prompt. You either type in PowerShell in the command prompt, which denotes here PS. Oops, denotes here is PS, it signifies PowerShell, and that's also the same thing here. It's PowerShell there. Now PowerShell, of course, it looks like it's a different screen, so it's like it has a bluish background, and the regular command prompt is there. So what I did here is this is the name of the PowerShell command you write, and these are just as you can see, it's just slightly identical with a few modifications, of course, to make it work. And like for example, I think this was the format table instead of EW. I'll put OW. So you just gotta make sure it's typed in correctly. So this is the PowerShell, and to run it, you have to remember where it's saved at. In this case, it's saved under Cybersecurity Fundamentals, as you can see there. And like what we did before, again, right-click on where we're saved it at, cancel, and go to PowerShell. Use this change directory command, right-click, and don't forget that this is, of course, this is just an example for me to remember where the files are safe. And CD does not work in PowerShell. All right. Oh, I see. Okay, let me try this again. So it's picky when it becomes more the space. So you actually have to put in quotes to change into a subdirectory that has space in it, and that should work. There you go. And that's why when it did it before, it complained because they can't find this particular folder. It's because the space kind of throws it off when you run the command. Okay, so that's the PowerShell command, and the command that we need to run is info.ps1. So it's info.ps1, and it should give you all the commands, and right now it's not. So there are some commandlets I forgot. Let's see here. It's complaining that some commands are not working. All right, so let me just it's not recognized commandlet function or operable program. So what we could do to get this to work is actually just comment out a few of the things where it's complaining that it's not working. The term info.ps1 is not working. It's a commandlet. So info, or better yet, let's type in PowerShell and see if info1.ps1 works. Huh. Let me do this. Let's go actually run the PowerShell command, but let's do this even better. Let's just go through here. We have to use actually the PowerShell IE script for this to work. So we need to run the PowerShell ISE, but in order to do that to get it to work, we actually have to run it in what do you call it? In administrator mode. So, whoops. So when you run, hold on, it's not centered right. Sorry. Is that right? Oh, okay. Just let me transition to the window here so that we can get the right. See all the commands on this side. Because it's not. Sorry, folks. It's not cropped left 0. There we go. All right, let me see if I can pull up all the commands there. Yeah, I think it's pulling up. So we have to run the PowerShell ISE. So you type in PowerShell ISE, and it should pull up. No, this is the command window. So we need the actual GUI. So it's PowerShell ISE, and I believe it's this one right there, as you can see. And it should pull up the PowerShell ISE. So we couldn't run this in the script itself. We actually have to load it into the PowerShell editor. So we'll just have to pull up the proper file here. And then we could run it by going to this button. And now it gives you the proper script. So that's how you run it properly. So apparently it doesn't run here properly as a script itself. You have to put it into the PSC window. Now, the other thing we need to do, let's actually go through the examples again. Let's see here. So we did the PowerShell, and these give you the instructions. There's a few exercises on which commands in Bash that you can use the same thing as PowerShell. So this is the PowerShell example, or batch, yeah, PowerShell example, and then the next to it, of course, is the which is the batch example. So what they want you to do in this particular exercise is to write the equivalent of the PowerShell command. Now, lucky for us, we have a few of the answers here. So what we're going to do is you're going to scroll down to those answers, and there you go. So let's pick out an example of using the echo command in Bash and to show what's installed in the free space. So for number 6, I think that you use the write out the disk free space disk installer. I think that's what I did. So let's do this. Let's write out the command in PowerShell, and I believe I put in write out. So we're actually going to do step 6 and 7's PowerShell examples. So I'm going to do write out. Let me just clear this so that it makes it more legible. So we're going to do write out. And then write out output, and then the disks, this the disks that are installed and their free space. So what's that command is going to do? It's going to actually just echo that. See how it says echo? And then the actual command to get all the disk and filter the logic out, I believe it's get Wmic object, and then I believe it's class and win32 logical disk, and then it has to filter and drive type, and we want number 3. There we go. And that's wrong. I'm missing something. Get object Wmic get object class win32 local disk. Local, not local, it's logical. So that's what I didn't type right. Logical disk should, and there you go. So that's an equivalent of what's the difference between the echo command and versus the so let's say, yeah. All right, so that's the PowerShell examples. So you're gonna research these, or you can just look at the nice little answers there. But what I can do is let's actually do the zoom feature. Make this a little bigger. Oh, here we go. Let's make it maybe 150, so you guys can see this answer slightly. There you go. Let's actually go back to what the files are. So let's actually scroll back up. That's the script like there. And these are some of the answers from the different commands you look up. Okay, and what you do again is just use each command you have. Like for example, in this in the echo command, you can just do echo, and then we're in PowerShell right now, so we gotta exit. So this is the regular command prompt. You do echo / to see what the type of echo messages it has. Same thing with find string / echo, and there you go. Don't forget netshell / and then they give you the different commands, and then there's version / to give you the different version commands. Right, so those are the PowerShell and batch scripts. The last one we're going to do is we're going to actually do the Linux portion here. Now, people are going to wonder, how are you going to get Windows on Linux? Well, we have a thing called Windows Subsystem Linux that is installed. So hopefully we can get this to work here. And let's go back to the documentation so that we can see what the Linux command says. And this one just says to use a virtual machine on PC1 and launch the Hyper. Here it says to use the Hyper-V example. In this case, let me, if I pull up Hyper-V, this is the instances in Linux that I have installed. In this case, there's actually a couple. I have Kali Linux, FreeBSD, and this one's also Alien Volt OOSM, which you'll learn more about in cybersecurity 257 or 295. It talks about SIEMs, which is called the Security Identity Information Management. Security. We'll look up SIEMs. SIEM. SEIM. Anyhow, you'll get to learn that in other advanced cybersecurity courses. But for now, this is what a Hyper-V manager looks like, because they are referencing to say, turn on a virtual machine to um, log into Linux. But the other option you can use instead of Hyper-V, you can use what's called the Windows Subsystem Linux. You'll be able to research that on your own. But for in this example, there is of course the script, and the script looks like that. And the script in this example, you can either enter it. Let's see if I can locate it here, because a lot of people are accustomed to GUI versions of Linux, and sometimes it's just a little weird. Okay, so let's open this up, and the folder in a Linux subsystem is a little different. But when you're in a Linux subsystem, you actually can access what's called the root directory of Windows. Here in this case, they reference it as C, and then we just have to remember where the files are saved. And as usual, we just have to kind of copy paste like this, and then just say I want to go there. Hopefully this works. I guess that should work. If not, then actually it did work. It switched. No, and it's just C. So one way to get to it is C, and then believe Windows, then utilities, resume, and then IS190, and then fall. Now this is my folder structure, of course. It's going to be different from yours, but this is what mine works. So in the GUI version, I have this open source editor called Genie, but for your example, I think they tell you to use some kind of notepad program in Linux. Let me see what we have here. The notepad version to open a Linux. Does it say? They call that just a text editor. So we just have to make sure that there's a text editor here. So we'll just pull up text editor, and looks like there is. So, and then we just open up the file that we need. Under file, there we go, and just pull up the bash info, which is this. It should just open, and that's how your Linux script would look in the bash in the Linux area. Now, of course, you can do all command line, which of course this runs in the background like so. Right here. No, that's not it. Which is this one? No, this one. There we go. So this one runs in the background, and as you can see, you can either run that script as a terminal, but before you run it, you actually have to make it executable. In this case, you just type in chmod plus x to make it executable, and the name of the script that you want to make it executable. Okay. Now, to run it, you have one or two things. You can run it inside a terminal itself, which to run it, it's +/info and then the bash script, and it should show you all the information in the Linux format. Now, of course, you can also run it in the subsystem like so. And what you do, of course, you just pull up a terminal and just make sure you're in the proper area. You go C, utilities, resume, and then CS190, CS190, and then in this semester it's fall, and there you go. And then you just run the chmod plus x to make executable, and the name of the file that you want it executable. In this case, it's info.bsh, and then you type in info, and there you go. All right. We can go through some of the commands as well. So it's just a list of Linux commands that you can copy and paste and just play with it in the terminal. And that's it. Thanks you guys for watching. Hope to see you guys in class. It does starts exactly at 7. In any case, this is Alfredo Tiglo, and thank you for watching this quick tutorial on how to do um, lab, how to write basic scripts in Windows and Linux. Thank you very much.